Alright guys, good afternoon and welcome to another technical analysis update on this 15th of August 2022, and it's just gone 2:30 p.m. here in the UK. That's 1:30 p.m. at UTC. So I'll just do the usual checks, make sure that the sound is working, and so audio seems to be working, video seems to be working as well. So I think we're ready to go. Please let me know in the comments if there's any problems with the sound or with the video here on YouTube, and I will rectify that. As last week I ended up doing a stream for about 7-10 minutes or so without any sound, so I had to restart it again. So please do let me know. But in the meantime, I think I'll crack on. It does seem like everything's working, so let me know if it's working at your end as well. So we start here with the cryptocurrency heat map. And on the heat map you can see that the great majority of it is in the red, which is a healthy pullback considering the rally we've had in the last sort of couple of weeks or so. So there's very few in the green. The great majority of it is in the red, some more than others, but you know, it's just kind of expected anyway. On the stock heat map, it's a completely different story. It looks like everything is in the green, and I mean almost everything. A few in the neutral, very few in the red, but the great majority of it is definitely in the green. Now, on the calendar, the Forex calendar for this week, there's not a lot on. There is something happening here on Wednesday, which is the core retail sales, which is basically just, it's just a figure that kind of details what consumer spending has been like, which is, you know, kind of a measure of health in the economy. But I don't see this being a very sort of cause for a very volatile market, unless the figures are extreme, of course. If they're very unexpected figures, then it could cause some volatility. But again, nothing really sort of like extreme to be thinking, wow, there's going to be extreme volatility coming into the markets or anything like that. However, at 7 p.m. on Wednesday, so that's at 1:30 p.m. UTC, at 7 p.m. UTC, there are the FOMC meeting minutes, which is basically discussing what's already been talked about on the meeting last week. Now, again, this could potentially cause a little bit of volatility, as it is highlighted here in the red, but I don't think it's basically just reiterating what they've already said. So I don't think there's any cause for concern. And I think that's reflected here on the stock heat map. As you can see, there's not really a lot on the calendar that could cause extreme volatility. So everybody's kind of still, there's a little bit of room to breathe. So everybody's still in a kind of a risk on type of approach. And this is why we've seen a little rally happening in the last sort of days and weeks. So moving on, I'm just going to check here on the YouTube chat just before I start, just to make sure that there's no issues with the sound or the audio. Everything seems to be fine. So let's start with the charts, and I'll start with the S&P. Now, I've been saying this for weeks on the S&P on the weekly. I had highlighted to you guys this this area, and this rectangle area, basically, as you can see, I've put it here closer to the volume profile. Now, as you can see, it's basically just detailing this high volume cluster, right? So we've reached to the top of that volume cluster. Like I said, we were way down here at the time, and I said, like, now we've found acceptance above here. The next logical target would be around about 4,300 points, and that's exactly where we went to. And I said that would be strong resistance, regardless what anyone says or what other news come out or whatever. And indeed, it was resistance, and you know, there's a number of reasons for that. So as you can see, that's also the edge of the balance, right? So the edge of this high volume cluster. But if I take that off, you guys can see that basically it's the yearly VWAP, which is this blue squiggle that you see here. So the 2022 VWAP acting as resistance. So no surprises there, okay? So we've seen a massive rally. We've definitely broken market structure, which is what we'd been hoping and expecting with this little line here, right? So I said we don't break market structure, nothing's changed until we actually break above. Now, we've broken above. We've done exactly what I said it would do, which is basically get rejected here at the yearly VWAP, at least at first. Now, what we have to see is what kind of a rejection will this be? In order to confirm that this is indeed a market structure and a change in trend direction, we want to see a pullback that will it will not take out the previous lows. basically. Okay, so there's a very obvious area here, which is this low volume area, around about 4,100 points, let's say 4,068 points to be exact, right, which has also got confluence with the value area low, so basically the -1 standard deviation of this yearly VWAP, right? So as long as the price does not go below 4,000, and I would say 4,000 points, right, because that's the edge of this balance area here, as long as it doesn't go below 4,000 points, then I think it's got plenty of room to move up. So as you can imagine, if it did something like this, even for the next couple of weeks or so, everybody will be losing their shit thinking that this is bearish. However, this is nothing more than a break in market structure with a higher high and then just a higher low, right? And a higher low is definitely an entry for a long position, and you'll be targeting new highs, right? So that's imperative that this area here holds as support. Now, there's no guarantee that we'll go as low as that, right? We could actually, if I change this to the daily chart, right, we could actually not take out these previous lows, right? We could actually just come all the way down here. So you can see that there's a low volume area here on this chart, which is the daily chart, which is a previous area of resistance, right? And we can come to around about 4,170 points and then bounce there. Okay, so let's just see if we form a range between 4,170 points, let's say 4,200 points, just to be kind of like a little bit generous, which is basically where, let me just, this low volume node here, as you can see, it's tiny, but it's 4,200 points there, which is basically where the previous year VWAP, right? So if I put this back on the weekly, so you can see this is 2022 here, sorry, 2021. And the 2021 VWAP closed there at around about 4,200 points. That was previous resistance, as it got rejected here. Now, previous resistance tends to turn to support. So we could most definitely come all the way down here and not come and test those low levels. All right, so you'll have to observe this. And I'll keep an eye on this when I do the next technical analysis update on Wednesday. But so we'll have to observe if this is the first level of support, or if indeed we come all the way back down to 4,000 points. And bounce there, okay? So in terms of market structure, you could definitely argue, take those brush marks off, that as long as we don't take these previous lows, that's a change in market structure, right? We've taken the highs, so that's a higher high, and now we need to print a higher low. So if it came all the way down here and then bounce from there, then that's fair enough. On the daily chart, that's definitely a change in market structure. But, you know, in my personal opinion, even if we came all the way down to this value area low here and take out the stops of these guys that were long, right, which relate to the party, because you can imagine the longs that were profitable are these ones, and even these ones here, right, and these ones got plenty of wicks below, so they took out all the stops and everything and searched for that liquidity before rallying up. Now, anybody that entered here is already late to the party, and those tend to get punished, okay? So that's why I'm actually considering this level here more important, around about 4,000 points. But like I said, that is the line in the sand, okay? If we go below this, then I'm afraid that that would be a fake out, right? Which basically means that we did take out the previous highs. So this was the high. We took out the previous highs, which basically is like a trap, right? And then we go much lower and go on to print new lows. So that's a possibility as well. But at the moment, this looks very bullish, and there's no point of creating a narrative where this is just a trap, and you know, because that kind of like clouds your judgment. The chart is telling you here that these previous highs, which was a very important level of resistance, like I said, the 2021 VWAP close, right? It acted as support. When we finally broke down, we tested it here, found that was resistance, and this was the first time back. There was resistance there, we broke above it, and the only thing that stops us was the yearly VWAP, like I said, right? So at the moment, it's telling us that this is bullish, right? So now we expect either this level to hold as support or this level to hold as support, and that's basically what I've got here on the S&P, right? In terms of resistance, of course, if we break above the yearly VWAP, right, that means acceptance. We go back to the weekly just to see this on a higher time frame. If we break above, we're currently in an imbalance, right, in this low volume area here, which is basically why we found resistance there, right? Yearly VWAP, low volume node, of course it's going to be resistance. However, if we break above this and we hold the yearly VWAP, the developing year's VWAP as support, then naturally I think that we would mean that we would be accepted inside this high volume cluster. Okay, and being accepted inside that high volume cluster usually means that we tend to visit both sides of it, right? And you can see here, this was previous resistance here. That's the previous high. So that's where we would be going, right? Acceptance inside of this high volume cluster. So basically acceptance above the yearly VWAP. And that's basically the next target of resistance if we do indeed break above it. So at least around about 4,500 points. Okay, nice big round number. Previous highs here, very close to this low volume area here at around about 4,600 points. So I think that's a perfect target in terms of resistance. And that would mean that we would be rotational back inside at least the 2021 VWAP here, which has perfect confluence with the 2022 value area high as well, right? So this is 2021 value area high, this is 2022 value area high. So, you know, that's the natural or the obvious, if you like, level of resistance next for S&P if we can break above this yearly VWAP. For now, resistance is exactly where we are now, right? And I expect a pullback. This is a large move to the upside, so it's not uncommon to get a decent pullback. It's actually quite healthy to get a decent pullback on a bull run. So if this is indeed a change in trend, right, where the bear market is over and we're starting the bull market, like I said, a pullback would be nice and healthy. So again, I'm just going to reiterate this. Levels of support around about 4,200 points and around about 4,000 points, okay, if we go to a deeper retrace. So that's what I've got on the S&P. Naturally, we move on to Bitcoin because the S&P is very closely correlated to Bitcoin. So, and this is what everybody wants to see, Bitcoin chart, right? So my interpretation of it, we're on the Coinbase chart here on the weekly. And as you can see, I've put a nice little yellow line. This is the weekly close, right? So from yesterday, it closed here. Today, it opened here. We did rally up, but we came all the way back down. And this close here will now be resistance, right? So we're well below it. That close is around about $24,300. And that's basically the line in the sand now for the bulls and the bears. As if we reclaim that $24,300, then we're off to the races and we're going up. If we cannot reclaim that, then I think we could potentially be ranging here and going lower to the next weekly level, around about $23,100. Okay, so that's on the weekly chart. But one thing that actually is probably worth noting here, and let me just take the weekly levels off, is that we found acceptance. What it looks like, we found acceptance inside of the value area low of 2022, right? So we're finally inside of that. Okay, so here we bounced on the 2020 value area high. That's exactly where we bounced here. We rallied. We found a little bit of resistance there. We couldn't get there for ages. If you guys been following me and watching these, you know what I was talking about this for quite some time here. We found a little bit of resistance there. We couldn't get back above there for quite some time. Eventually we did break through. We came back, confirmed it as support, and now we're kind of still there, but we're still above that line, right? So this could be actually a very decent area to start looking for longs if we are indeed to go higher to the 2022 VWAP and so on, right? So in terms of the moving average, right? So this is the 200 week moving average. We are above the 200 week, and if you guys don't know, I can go on to another chart and let me just show you this a little bit quick. I'm just going to delete some of these scribbles here. I'm not sure why they're all there. Right, and I'm going to put this on the log chart and take out these, the volume profile and the VWAP. As you can see, this is the oldest Bitcoin chart in existence. It goes all the way back to 2010. And you can see that this is the 200 week, and it acted as support a number of times, right? Even when we kind of flush below, we kind of reach below, but eventually it gets reclaimed, and once it gets reclaimed, it's kind of a trigger for a big rally, right? It's happened here as well. It's happened here, right? And it's happened here on the March 2020 COVID dump. And here you can see on the last sort of like setback that we've had on the bear market that we've had in the last sort of like a few months since the beginning of the year, we kind of fell below that 200 weekly moving average. And now we've reclaimed it, right? Which is very clearly seen here. Not on the weekly chart there, right? So it's very clearly seen there. And that's sitting at around about $23,000. Okay, so let's move back to the Coinbase chart. I don't want to confuse things too much. I'm going to take that moving average off. I'm going to put back my volume profile and the yearly VWAP, and I'm going to take this off the log chart, and so that you can see here a little bit better. All right, so meanwhile, so I think we're kind of like a little bit clear here. So my personal opinion, let me just go back to putting the weekly levels here so that you guys keep that in mind. As you can see, the two closest weekly levels that we've got here is at 24,300 and 23,100 and something. Now you know that I've just told you that $23,000 is where the 200 weekly moving average is. So $23,200, $23,000 is a very important level. Okay, so there's a weekly level, there's a 200 week moving average, and that's the previous weekly close. So obviously that could potentially be a very good area for a long position, right? Now I'm going to show you on the daily chart. This is the quarterly VWAP, right? The quarterly VWAP is a little bit, the current quarterly VWAP is a little bit below, around about $22,260, right? But you can see that the value area low of the previous quarter, which is this line here, it closed round about $22,800, okay? And that's been acting as support ever since. And it's very close to that $23,000 level, right? So there's another level of confluence there for potentially a break up, okay, for a bounce there. Now we look on the 4-hour chart, and I've got here the monthly VWAP. And in fact, I'm going to go take some of this stuff off just so that you guys, so that can make sense and build the story, okay? So again, like I was saying, we've got that weekly level that closed yesterday just above here, 24,300, and we've got that very important level way down here, 23,171. Okay, so 24,300, 23,100. Okay, that's the kind of the range that we're at. I'm going to take those weekly levels off just for a second so that you guys make sense of this 4-hour chart. So here we are. We bounced on the previous, this is the previous month value area high, value area low. This is the VWAP close, and we bounced here quite a few times and confirmed that this is indeed support, okay? It's got perfect confluence with this month's value area low, which is way down here, right? That's sitting at around about $23,000. Okay, so remember, $23,000 is where we've got the 200 week moving average, we've got that weekly close, and we've also got the value area low of the monthly. Okay, we do have a monthly VWAP here around about 23,600, so that could potentially be an area for a bounce, but I want you to keep an eye on the higher time frame kind of levels. All right, so that was this level here. Now if I go, so 23,000, right? So if I go here onto the weekly chart, sorry, the 1-hour chart with the weekly VWAPs, you can see that the previous week is acting as support right now. We did kind of deviate below, and we reclaimed it at the moment. As long as we don't lose that, we could be bouncing here at $24,000, okay? But at the moment, like I said, there's potential for a pullback on the S&P, and of course, if the S&P pulls back, so will Bitcoin. So that's why I'm giving you the levels of support on the higher time frame. So if we are rotational inside of this value, the previous week's value area, you can see that the value area low of that weekly, the previous week, is around about 23,500. If you remember rightly, when we look here on the 4-hour chart, and the monthly VWAP is sitting at round about 23,600, 23,500, which is where this low volume node is. So that's your first level of support. Okay. However, what I don't like about this is the fact that this is a larger liquid candle to the upside. Okay, and it hasn't been tested. So I mean, yes, we could come here and bounce, but I think that we could potentially going a little bit lower to that level there, 23,200. That would be the level that I'd be interested in, as it's got so much confluence, right? So now what I will do is I will put the stalker, which is basically a 200 exponential moving average. Now you can see that the 200 exponential moving average goes all the way down to around about $23,200. If I go back to that weekly chart here and put the weekly levels back on, now we go back to the 4-hour chart, you can see that that has perfect confluence with that weekly level there. Okay, so I've already built a little narrative. The previous month value area high here, right, has confluence with a 200 exponential moving average on the 4-hour chart, right? It has confluence with the current month's value area low, which is all in the same area, around about 23K, right? And it has confluence with the weekly value area low as well, right? So, you know, there's just a lot of confluence around about there, right? And the previous week value area high there, right? So this area here where this weekly level is. So 23,200, 23,100. And I'll show you this on the market profile as well. And you can see that there's some interesting levels down there. Now, what I want you to see here, I'm going to take these brush marks off as well. I want to highlight this. That's that large liquid candle that I was talking about that has not been retraced, and they usually do get retraced. Okay, so the base of that is exactly where that weekly level is. Okay, so in my personal opinion, yes, we could bounce at 23,500, but I think that we could potentially see a much deeper pullback all the way to 23,200. And this level here, where we are now at 24K, is key. If we lose that level, that's where we're heading, right, to these two targets. And then we'll have to observe and see what the price does there. But I think this is strong support, around about 23,200. If we've reclaimed that, and that's as far as we go here in terms of pullback, then it's key that we break above $24,300. There's a weekly view app coming very close to that now. It's converging towards that. And this is the weekly level that is acting as resistance, as you've seen here. Right, so as long as we could break above that, then I think we're off to the races, and we could be heading a lot higher to that level that I was talking about last week, which was around about $27,500. But this level here is key, $24,316 or whatever. Okay, so that's kind of what I've got here on Bitcoin. I don't want to keep going over the same thing again and again, but I wanted to show you another thing here on the 4-hour chart that is really, really interesting, and I'm going to take some of these brush marks off. And I'm also going to take the stalker off and the view app off, just so there's a nice clean chart just with the weekly levels. Now, I've got a fixed range volume profile pulled from this previous high here, from when we've lost that last weekly level. Okay, so I'm going to put that on there, and this is actually quite easy. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete that. I'm going to show you how to do it. So you go onto I believe it's this one here. Okay, so along the left hand pane here, you go onto the last, which is fixed range volume profile. I'm going to go here onto around about 29,967, around about 30K, which is the last high before we lost that weekly level. I'm going to click once. So I want the volume profile to start from there to the most recent price action. Okay, now I'm going to even take that volume profile on the right. So look at where the point of control is pointing to. Perfect confluence with that $23,200 level. Okay, so yet another thing that is pointing towards there, right? So we've got the 4-hour exponential moving average, right? We've got a point of control from the whole of this drop up to now, right? We've got a weekly level there. And if we look at this here, you can also see that it's the point of control of this whole range here, right? Which is basically what we're seeing this in this volume profile here. So there's just lots of confluence for that level there. And I think that 23,170 or $23,000 is basically where we're heading to right now. And that's my interpretation of it. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not telling you what to do with your money, but I think that that's the next level of support. So 23,500 is, sorry, yeah, 23,500 is a low volume area, so this could definitely be a bounce area here. Okay, but because of this large liquid candle, the base of the large liquid candle, the beginning of the impulse, has perfect confluence with the weekly level, with the point of control of this whole range, and a 4-hour exponential moving average. So I'm looking at this 23,200 as the next level of support. Okay, so that is it for Bitcoin here on the candlestick charts. So let's have a look at Exocharts and see if we can find any sort of any confluence. And another thing, actually, I'm going to do another thing, just I wanted to point this out here on the 4-hour chart. You can see that this was a previous level of resistance here, the value area high. Okay, here we deviated above, we came back down, and then once we reclaimed that 4-hour exponential, and you can see here, bounce, bounce, and we've not had one yet here, right? But this was previous resistance here, this value area high, right? And now we've just lost that. That's perfect confluence with that $24,300 level, which means that, again, if we break above this, we're above the previous value, and I think we're heading higher. However, if this is now to be resistance, so this is resistance, and this here will be support. Okay, and this is just a little interim level, 23,600. It's just a level in the middle, which is basically this low volume area here, that could act as support as well, right? Like it acted here a couple of times, but it's not an important level in my personal opinion. I think on the higher time frame, you can see that the more important level is this one here. Okay, so I'll leave that as it is. On Exocharts, let's have a look and maybe analyze why we dumped here. You can see here on the, let me just have a look at the footprint first. You can see again, we've got some longs here that got overextended at the highs here, right? So the market pulls back. There's some liquidations, longs getting liquidated there, right? So the shorts here start getting a little bit overexcited, right? With higher volume here with 9 million, 7 million, 5.4 million, another 12 million down here. And of course the market rallies from there. When we get to the highs, what do we get? Yet again, more longs getting overexposed here, right? So of course, we took out these previous highs here, right? We took out the previous highs, we sweep the highs, everybody starts to go long, and of course the market punishes them, okay? When we come back, right, so lots of longs here at the highs. You can see that this was, you know, fairly high volume, and yet the candle closed red. Okay, so then we start going back down again. You see a load of longs opening again. We get to the previous level where these guys got trapped, and of course they want to get out of break even, so that's resistance. So the market goes down and starts auctioning down, right? So then here we start seeing a little bit of absorption, lots of sells. The market is not really moving that much lower, okay? And we start seeing that these guys might be getting trapped. But this is a trap within a trap, as you can see here, where basically we see 68 million in total volume. You can see compared to the previous levels here, 41, 49, 59. Okay, so that was like strong selling volume here. Here we see strong buying volume with 6 million delta here in the positive, and yet the candle closed red, right? So strong absorption here, and this is basically a bad sign here. It's basically telling you that, you know, the buyers are getting absorbed here. You can see 10 million net longs opening in this candle, yet the candle closed red. Okay, so now we've been ranging here and we're attempting to go higher, but these guys will want to get out of break even just in case we go lower. So unless we break above this, right, which is again 24,300, I think that the market will tend to auction lower. Okay, so like I said, large delta here in positive didn't make any difference to the price, right? Everybody that opened long got trapped, and now we're retesting that. So now it's a question, will these guys want to get out of break even, and have they had enough pain for the market to auction lower, because getting that at break even when you're long is basically selling? So will this sell off, or will we actually break above this and continue higher? That's the real question, right? So that's basically on the footprint, that's the analysis. You can also see here on the volume profile, this is a day volume profile, you can see that we had a naked point of control way down here around about $23,950, and the market kind of auctioned lower quite brutally actually, all the way down with this long wick, and basically we bounced here on this naked point of control, right? So the one level that we have not taken yet is basically this void here. You can see that there's hardly any volume traded there. These are the single prints that you'll see on the market profile in a minute, and you can see that this has not been tested yet, so there's some liquidity to be had right there, and again, and that is exactly around about $23,200. Okay, in fact, the beginning of this little cluster here starts at $23,200. So that's basically that level that I was highlighting on the candlestick chart. So yet more confluence on the volume profile. Looking at the market profile, you can see that these previous spikes to the upside, right? So they took out these previous highs. They had excess, so these were that nice little tails, nice selling tails here. So we rallied up, couldn't get back above it. We rallied up all the way to $25,000, which is not, you know, big round number. We'd expect to find some resistance there, but it left no excess, right? So those were poor highs, and of course the market auctions higher, takes out those previous highs, and then auctions lower. Okay, so this is not a failed auction. This is basically just correcting this anomaly here. People call it a failed auction, and I suppose technically it is, because it failed to auction higher when the market was one-time framing. But basically we just swept the highs here. So these were poor highs. We've swept those, we left an excess, and now we headed lower. This is a 2-day composite value area, this gray box that you see here, and we rallied straight past it. Okay, and then we retested this value, this balance area here, which I'll reset so that you guys can see there's two profiles there together, right, that create this value area. We got to the value area low of that, and we got rejected there. That's sitting at around about 24,300. Excuse me, which basically is that level that I was showing you on the candlestick charts, that weekly level, right? $24,300. Let me just show you that again. This level here, right? Let's have a look at the weekly chart. $24,300 is basically this level here. So again, that's key. If we can break above this and have confirmation that we are accepted inside of this area, then of course we're going to get accepted 24,300. This will be support. The next level of resistance will be around about 24,600, but I think we've got potential to go a lot higher than that straight after. Okay, but we're on a pullback, so if the S&P continues to pull back and drag Bitcoin down with it, where will it go next? Well, let's just see if we can confirm the levels that we were talking about on the candlestick chart. Now, I'll highlight those levels here on the market profile to see if we can find any confluence. You can see large negative delta here. These guys basically got trapped short. Where is that sitting? Right about $23,600. Okay, which is where that low volume node was on the candlestick charts that I said that it's an interim level. Okay, it's a potential level for a bounce, but it's not really the level that I'm interested in. Note, this is a poor low. There's a little bit of excess there actually, but there's some single prints here, right? These single prints did not get filled yet. There's a gap in liquidity there, right? Where's that sitting? 23,300. That's still a little bit high, right? But if we look past that, you can see this large profile here, and I've got, this is a 6-day merged profile, right? 6-day composite value. Okay, so that's what this gray rectangle is. This is 6-day price action here, so let's reset that. So 6 profiles here, all merged together to give me a composite value area, right? So I'll merge those. And you can see that's the value area high, that's the value area low, right? Where is the value area high sitting? Basically where the previous resistance was. $23,200. So yet more confluence here. So if we were to come down, and even perhaps bounce here for a little while, right? Because these guys are trapped short, so they want to get out of break even. So that's basically support. For the sellers to get out of break even, they have to buy. So we could potentially see another little bounce here, do something like that, and then we could potentially come and curl lower and test that level that I've been talking about for so long now, right? 23,200. Now, we would fill out those single prints here, and we would test the previous 6-day composite value area here, okay? So I can't really write with the mouse very well, but there you go. So that's a 6-day composite value area, which is basically the value area low. This is the value area high. We would test this, means that we would fill out completely the single prints. We would be testing and bouncing on that weekly level, right? And all those confluent levels point to around about this level here, 23,200. So yet more confluence on the market profile here for a potential level for a long here, right? So that's what I'm looking for, 23,200 as a level of support. 24,500 is, there's some trapped shorts there, so that could definitely bounce there. That's the two immediate levels of support. And in terms of levels of resistance, I'm looking at 24,300, which is the weekly level. And once we break above that, then we've got, again, 24,600. But I think that we go much higher. And we could potentially go and test these levels here around about this naked point of control at $27,500. Okay, so that's basically, you know, it's just to kind of like make it sort of like really, really simple. This is all lining up perfectly, both on the candlestick charts and on the market profile and volume profiles. And it's telling me that we've got some room to range here, right? So we could be ranging between 23,200 and 24,300 for quite some time. Okay, so it's a $2,000 range, right? So we could be going sideways here for quite some time. Break to the downside, we're going to go much lower. Break to the upside, we're going to go much higher. And that's basically all I've got here on Bitcoin in terms of the higher time frames. On the lower time frames, like I said to you guys before, we want to see who is offside here. Okay, so there's a lot of selling going on here, but the buys got, like, you know, the buyers got absorbed here very, very strongly, and it looks like these guys here are starting to get a little bit offside as well, right? Because you can see that there's like big market buy orders here, and yet the candle is in the red. So we could potentially head lower here. But like I said, there was a few sellers here that got a little bit offside. So the signal that you want to watch out for in terms of for absorption and everything is you want to see these guys get offside, right? So we want to see actually this one is not a very good example. So let me just grab potentially this one here. Right, so you can see that there was loads of buyers here at the top. Once the candle closed below, the market auctioned lower, right? There was a few buyers here and here. Market closed in the red, so that candle rotation closed in the red. So these guys got trapped as well. So big sell volume all the way down. And then we're starting to see some of the sellers getting offside here. So we're starting to see some rallies. But every time there's a rally, all the bulls come in and ape in. So these guys are getting trapped, right? Look at the amount of buys going on here, and yet the price is not moving up. This is, you know, this is indicative that these guys are getting absorbed. So we could be auctioning lower. However, if we do go higher as well, then I wouldn't be surprised to see these guys here get, you know, squeezed basically. So there is room until next week, and at least even until Wednesday, and with the S&P pulling back and everything, there is room to wiggle here. There is not any in terms of news, there's not really any extreme volatility expected for this week. So we could see a lot of fuckery going on here. So you just have to watch out for these guys that are getting trapped, right? So if the sellers are getting trapped, we're going up. If the buyers are getting trapped, we're going down. And that's basically the, you know, that's the long and the short on the footprints here. We are seeing a little bit of a bullish CVD divergence here, where these, you know, the CVD is doing new lows. I'll put this big again. Right, you can see the CVD pointing down means aggressive selling going on here, and yet the market is not going lower. We're printing higher lows. So lower lows on CVD, higher lows on the price means that the sellers are getting absorbed. So I think we've got potential for a little rally up here. Okay, we'll just have to see if we can break above that 24,300 for now. That's resistance to proven otherwise. Way down here, 23,500 is support, and 23,200 should be support as well. Okay, so that's enough on Bitcoin. I hope this clears it up and makes it easy for you guys to stay on the right side of the market, if you like. And with that all said and done, we move on to Ethereum. Okay, so let me just recap that just so that you guys know, because that could be confusing for some with the market profile and everything else, right? I'm looking at this level here for support, and I'm looking at this level here for resistance. Okay, so I expect the price to be ranging here somewhere, right? There is a friction point, which is basically this little low volume node here around about 23,500, which would perhaps and potentially cause a bounce here. So if we start hovering at resistance here, chances are we break to the upside. If we start hovering at support here and we've got no strength to go up, then chances are we break to the lower side. Okay, that's the other thing that I will say. But I think we've got potential here for a range happening within these two levels. And that's basically it for Bitcoin for now. So moving on to Ethereum. Start with a higher time frame. Just get a drink of water, sorry. So on the Ethereum chart, on the weekly Ethereum chart here, this is again, this is actually on Bybit. You can see Ethereum's been very strong, right? We broke above the previous, let me just take these brush marks off because I've got the magnet on, right? So this is the value area low of 2022. We broke above that. We've confirmed it as support here, and we rallied up, right? In terms of balance areas, I've been telling you this for weeks now. This is not hindsight trading, right? I put these rectangles here that basically are just reflecting these high volume clusters, right? So this is basically boundaries, if you like, or ranges, if you like, right? So you can see that this is one balance area, this up here is another balance area, and so on, right? So that's basically what these rectangles are. When we broke back inside of this range here, I did say that this is the new balance area here, and we're looking at $1,500 as support and $2,000 as resistance. Of course, when we found acceptance inside of there, where do we go to? And I mean, I'm going to take the brush marks off so you can see this a little bit clearer, and I'll put this on the daily. I mean, I've drawn these months ago, weeks ago. If you don't believe me, go and look back at my streams, but you can see that this is like to the dollar, and this is not crystal ball, this is just auction market theory, right? This is not, I'm not like some I've got a crystal ball, I can't see into the future, but you can see that that got tested almost perfectly, right? Which is basically telling you that we've reached the end of this range, okay, of this value area. Now you can see that we've got a low volume area here around about $1,850. That could potentially be the next level of support. However, if that doesn't hold as support, we could be heading lower, right? And the levels that I'll be looking for ultimately will be around about $1,650 and this level down here, $1,500, which is the most important. Okay, so I'm going to leave those on for a second. I'm going to put this on back on the weekly chart, so you guys can see. And essentially what we're looking at, right, is this low volume area where we are right now. But if Bitcoin is to pull back, then Ethereum is going to pull back too, right? So I'll be looking at this level here around about $1,800. Then we've got the value area low of the year's VWAP at around about $1,650. But ultimately, $1,500 is the ultimate level of support that we need to hold, okay, if this whole range is to hold here. Right? So basically we're rotational inside of this balance area here, right? The only thing that can, well, one of the things that can hold us support is the point of control, which is that level there around about $1,800, which was, you know, looking on the daily, see that was strong resistance there, right? $1,800, right? This was strong resistance. We had resistance there, we finally broke above it. So if we do come back down again, strong resistance tends to turn to support. This was a previous level of support. We broke down below it. The first tap was resistance. The second tap, third tap was still resistance. Once we hovered at resistance, we broke above it, and now we've not tested that as support. So again, $1,800, strong level of support. If we break below that, I'm looking at $1,630 here. And if we break below that, then I'm looking at this level here as a level of support, right about $1,500. Okay, so we've got some very clear levels there, right? So we've got $2,000 as resistance, we've got $1,500 as support, but in between we've got $1,800 and $1,630 as well as potential levels for a bounce. Okay, and that's basically it. The higher time frame levels are of course $1,500 to $2,000, right? And that's support and that's resistance. We've got those two interim levels in the middle. If the market is to have a serious pullback, then I do expect Ethereum to go as low as $1,600, maybe even $1,500. But we'll have to wait and see, because Ethereum is very strong. With all the narrative of, with all this narrative of the merge and everything else, so we could potentially see this diverge from Bitcoin, right? Even if the S&P and Bitcoin is dumping. But we'll have to wait and see. If, however, we break above $2,000, then the next level of resistance will be $2,400 here. Okay, this has got perfect confluence with this previous level here. It's a daily level, right? And it's also the yearly VWAP, right? So if I take the balance off, you can see that that's where the yearly VWAP is, $2,400. So I do expect that level to be strong resistance if we do go there straight up, right? Previous level of support, we broke down from it. Here we tried to get above it, we couldn't. Confirmed that that is indeed resistance, and if we go back there again on second tap, I think that's a high probability trade, right? So going back to this, if we break above $2,000, the next level of resistance will be 2,400. Okay, the key thing is that of course that means that we would be accepted inside this balance area here. And as such, even though this is resistance, the next level of resistance after that will be around about $3,000. So Ethereum would be on its way to $3,000, and $2,000 would now be support, 2,400 temporary resistance, and 3,000 the ultimate target. Okay, so I hope this kind of makes sense. We're looking at this range here and this range here. We're currently stuck in this one. Okay, if we break above $2,000, we'll be stuck in this one here. Okay, so I hope this kind of makes it clear on the higher time frame. Very easy to try and establish where we are and where we might be ranging. Okay, so a look at the shorter time frames. If I look here, for example, on the daily chart, this is the quarterly VWAP, right? You can see that we didn't have enough strength to go to the previous quarter's VWAP here, right? We got stopped on the higher time frame level here at $2,000, but you can see that this quarter's value area high has been acting as support. Where is that lining up to? $1,750 $1,800, which is that level that I was talking about. So yet another confluent level that's telling you that $1,800 could be support, right? Fail that and we'd be heading lower to around about $1,500, which is where the quarterly VWAP is and the previous quarter's value area low, right? So $1,500 as very strong support if we do fail 1,800 and 1,650, which is where this low volume node is. That's on the daily chart. I'm just reiterating the same thing that I showed you on the higher time frames, but I'm showing it to you on the lower time frames. Now, this is the 4-hour chart, and I've got the monthly VWAP here. Now, you can see that the monthly VWAP is also previous value area high here, been acting as resistance. We broke above it, confirmed it as support, and we came back down. This was support, support, and then we rallied up, monthly VWAP acting as support, and we're currently testing the value area high of the current month as support as well. Okay, break below that, where do we end up? Round about $1,800. And if we break below that, look at where the 200 exponential moving average is. This is the 200 exponential moving average on a 4-hour chart, just like Bitcoin, right? This is a previous level of bounce, previous resistance. Here it bounced, right? Very, very clear. We've not had a tap of that for quite some time now. So if there was a nasty pullback on the S&P and on Bitcoin, we could potentially go all the way down to 1650, right? So again, confirming that $1,800, 1650, and $1,500 are the levels to watch out for. Okay, I mean, if we lose this $1,650, then $1,500, I mean, that's around about here, which is, you know, large liquid candle to the upside here on the 4 hour. As you can see that there, largely untapped, right? So we could potentially see a move to the base of that, which is around about $1,480, $1,500. Okay, so again, that's really the line in the sand for the bulls. If we go below $1,500, then we get acceptance within a new balance area, right? That would mean below this level here, that would mean getting acceptance inside of this balance area here. So these are not exact levels, okay guys? So $1,500, don't go right to the number 1,500. It could deviate, as you can see here from the balance. The balance goes from 1,430 to 1,500, right? So anywhere in this zone is support, okay? The important thing is not to get acceptance back inside of this range here. All right, so don't get obsessed with exact numbers. All right, so that's basically it for Ethereum. $2,000 as resistance, $1,500 or $1,480 as support, but we do have some interim levels on the lower time frame that could act as support, and namely those are $1,800 and $1,650. Okay, strong and important levels of support. Okay, so if you look at this, this is the 30-minute. I'm going to put this on the 1 hour. So the 1 hour chart here, and we're looking at the weekly view app. The previous weekly view app here close was around about $1,850. And if we were to retrace this whole large illiquid candle, that would bring us down to around about $1,700 here, with the previous VWAP close here at $1,650. So again, those levels that I've been talking about, right? $1,650, $1,800, and $1,500. And that's it for Ethereum versus USD on the candlestick charts. Let's have a look at the volume profile on Exocharts and see if we can find any confluence to the levels that we'll be looking at on the candlesticks. So let me just print screen here, just a second. Right, so here we are. We've got a naked point of control here, around about $1,830, $1,840. Right, so that's an important one, naked point of control. Note that there is also a naked point of control at $2,060 here. Right, and we failed to take that one. If there is that nasty pullback, right, if there is a more severe pullback, we could be heading much lower, and there's a naked point of control all the way down here at round about $1,560. Okay, so it's starting to look like we've got some confluent levels of interest on the way down there. There's also some naked points of control here around about $1,400 and $1,450. Okay, so we could even see a little bit lower than 1,500. Right, so just keep that in mind, that we could be heading a little bit lower here and take that. But you know, as you can see, Ethereum's been on a bit of a tear, so this would be quite a healthy pullback, right? But you know, in terms of market structure, in terms of breaking market structure, you can see that, you know, so this, if this was a high here, let me just make this a little bit thicker here. If this was a high, this was a higher high, this is a higher low, so this is the low here, this is a higher low, then we printed a higher high, and a higher low, and a higher high again. So really, if we took out these previous lows and we fell below that, that's a change in market structure. Anywhere below this $1,450 level, so way down here, right, $1,400, $1,450, that's not a good sign. That's a break in market structure, and I wouldn't like to see that. I would like us to, even if we take out this point of control, and maybe if we go even as low as $1,500, it wants to hold that, right? $1,580 it says here. Okay, that's the previous low, and that would be, the market structure would be intact, right? So we want to see that really. on Ethereum. That was on the volume profile. Let's just actually go to the market profile and see if we can see anything interesting there. So we left no excess. No, we left excess above. That's fine. So there's no poor highs above. There is a naked point of control here around about $1,850 as well. And there are some single prints, which is very interesting. Single prints between $1,700 and $1,800 here. Okay, so these could potentially get filled, right? We've also got some single prints here at $1,600, and we've got some poor lows there. And there's those naked points of control here around about $1,400, $1,456. But I don't want to see, you know, even though this is a large liquid candle, we could potentially go all the way down there. It's not the end of the world, but that's kind of a change in market structure, right? Because we were looking at these lows down here as a higher low. So we'll just have to wait and see. That's when things get tricky if we go all the way down here, $1,400. But I'm looking really at these single prints for potential bounces. All right, so I think that is pretty much it for Ethereum. I showed you here on the candlestick charts. It's just basically reiterating exactly what I said on the candlestick charts, but showing you on the volume profile, market profile to see that we had confluence, right? So without wanting to confuse things too much, on the 4-hour chart, we've got this level here as resistance, around about $2,000. We've got $1,500, $1,400 as support. Okay, but that's the ultimate line in the sand, right? If we lose this level, then we're heading much, much lower, which I find very unlikely because of the Ethereum merge narrative, right? This level here is very important in my personal opinion, $1,650. It just has plenty of confluence with the value area low of the monthly, the 4-hour exponential moving average, and so on, right? So this is an important level, $1,640, $1,650, and I think we could see a bounce there, okay? There's no saying that we go down here, we start ranging, and then we have a wick to the downside, and then trap those guys short, right? So that could potentially happen. But I'm just saying that this is an important level, right? High time frame levels here, $2,000, $1,500, $1,400 or whatever. But this is an important level, and so is this one here, 1,800, 1,630, okay, 1,650. So that's basically it for Ethereum. And like I said, I've covered what levels of resistance we've got above if we do break above $2,000, and I've got some levels of support if we do break below $1,800. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it for Ethereum. So let's move on to Ethereum versus BTC. We start here on the weekly chart, and I'm going to take these support resistance level lines so that you guys can see. In fact, I'm going to leave them on, and I'm going to start with the analysis there. So like I said to you guys, once we've broken above this yearly VWAP and that trend line that was put on there basically and respected since June 2021, right? Once we've reclaimed this, it was very clear that we were heading higher, right? And I said this is going to be an important level of support going forward. We were testing this value area high of the current year, which is this faint blue line that you see here. Take the magnet off. This faint blue line. Once we broke above that, I did say that the next levels of resistance would be around about here, where this order block is. And that's exactly where we went to, almost to the dollar, right? So once we broke above that level of resistance, which was this red line, which I'll now change to green, because that should turn into support now, right? Once we broke above this level here, then that would be the next level of resistance. And that's exactly where we are, right? So I'm going to take these brush marks off. So here we are. This is resistance now at around about 81,000 sats. And the next level of support will be around about 74,000 sats, 75,000 sats, which is this level here. So I expect this to be a nice little range here. If we fail this level of support here, then the next natural level of support, and it'll be a very important one, is this down here. Okay, there's so much confluence there. There's the yearly VWAP. There's that trend line that basically is valid all the way back to June 2021. If I look at the quarterly VWAP is there as well, right? So around about 70,000 sats. So we've got 80,000 sats as resistance, and we've got 75,000 sats as support. If we break below 75,000 sats, the next level of support is 70,000, and I expect 70,000 sats to be golden, to be the gold standard and the line in the sand, if you like, for the bulls for Ethereum. So even if we go as low as this here should hold as support, 70,000 sats. If for some reason there is some problem with the merge and there's some negative news coming out of Ethereum or some FUD or whatever, I still expect this level here to hold. Okay? If it doesn't hold, and I find that very unlikely, if it doesn't hold, the next level of support is this low volume node down here at 65,000 sats, okay? Which would be way down here. But I don't think we're going to see that. I think we're going to stay above this 70,000 sat level. So very, very easy. 70,000 and 75,000 sats as support. 81,000 sats is resistance right now. If we break above 81,000 sats, then the next level of resistance, I mean, there's not much, right? Looking here at the weekly chart, you can see that there's not really much in the way of resistance here. Okay, that's basically getting close to the all-time highs, all right? I could potentially see this level here as resistance. Okay, and I'm just going here with previous order blocks here, right? And I'll see another one here as the next level of resistance, right? So we'd be looking really at around about 90,000 sats and 111,000 sats as the next levels of resistance, okay? 100,000 could be it's a big one, you know, it's a big round number, so I wouldn't discount that. Let's put that there as well, right? That's the next levels of resistance in my personal opinion, and that 100,000 is just based, it's not based on anything, it's literally just based on big round numbers, all right? For me, 90,000 and 111,000 sats are the significant levels of resistance if we are indeed to break up to the upside. For now, like I said, on the higher time frames, I think we range here between 75,000 and 80,000 sats. Okay, that's basically what I'm seeing here. If we break to the downside, then we could potentially be forming a range here. But I don't see that happening. I think we stay here. It depends really how far a pullback we get on Bitcoin and the S&P. So that's basically it for Ethereum versus BTC. And I'm going to leave those on actually so that next time I do a TA analysis, you guys can see those levels, just in case you guys think that I'm kind of like hindsight trading or whatever, or hindsight analysis. So with Ethereum versus BTC out of the way, I think I'll move on to the FODL trading pairs. This is the DeFi lending markets. And basically I'll be covering all of the altcoins that are tradable on the FODL platform. And so these are FODL trading pairs. Okay, so I'll do some ETH trading pairs as well, as it looks like Bitcoin is being outperformed by Ethereum. Okay, so again, I want to reiterate this. It really doesn't matter what TA I do on altcoins. If Bitcoin decides to pull back, all of the altcoins will pull back, right? If Bitcoin and Ethereum are pumping, then all the altcoins will pump as well. So if you're trading altcoins, you must pay attention to what Bitcoin is doing. And of course, Bitcoin is just a beta leveraged mirror image, if you like, of the S&P. So now you also have to keep an eye on S&P. So things are getting harder for traders. But nevertheless, let's go on to the charts and just have a look at that, right? So I start with the FODL versus USDT here on the daily. In fact, I'm going to put this on the daily chart, not on the weekly. And you can see that after a severe, very large drawdown, like very large sells on the FODL USDT on OkEx here, it's the previous level of support, will very likely be resistance moving forward, right? You can see that the price is kind of like rotating sideways now. We haven't got as much selling as we had before, okay? This was very aggressive selling. As such, this is a liquidity void, right? So there's a void in liquidity there. If the price is to rally above this level here, from here to here, it'll be very quick. That'll be a great trade. But for now, let's focus on what we've got right now. Okay, so for now, let's just focus on this. 2 cents is now resistance, okay? This yellow line here. If we can break above this one, then the next level of resistance will be this one, around about 2.5 cents. Okay, and again, that's a key level, because if we break above that, we could go all the way up to here with very little resistance, because as you can see here, this is a large illiquid candle here, large illiquid move, and these tend to get retraced all the time. So the important thing to see is that we've got an accumulation cylinder going on here. We've got some accumulation going on FODL, and at the moment we're struggling with this level of resistance. Okay, so we could be kind of rotating here for quite some time until we break to either side. If we start hovering at support here, then the chances are that we're going lower. But if we start hovering here at resistance, as we are seeing now, I think that the next level of resistance will be this one, and we'll go to that level there, and then we'll have a range here. Okay, so that's basically what we're kind of seeing right now. We're seeing that we're hovering at resistance, and we're trying to get acceptance back inside of this range. There's tapering volume there as well, so we could potentially be heading straight to that level of resistance there. And that's what we're seeing here on FODL versus USDT. Just bear with me just a second. Sorry about that, I thought that was my delivery. Just bear with me just a second. So anyway, FODL versus USDT here on OkEx, you can see that we're struggling at resistance here. If we break above, this is the next level of resistance. If we go below, we want to see this high volume node hold as support, okay? And the important thing to see here is that we are kind of like printing higher highs and higher lows. We're doing constructive price action here, and the selling off is the selling has eased off, basically. So moving on to FODL versus USDC, which is basically on sushiswap, not on OkEx. Take these brush marks off a second. So on OkEx, you can see that this level here acted as support. We are building constructive price action here with higher highs and higher lows, right? The selling off has kind of eased off as well, right? And again, we've got this very important level of resistance here. If we break above that, there's a liquidity void here. There's a void in liquidity. There's hardly any volume there to hold the price down as resistance. And I think as such, the next level from here, if we break above this, then it would be very quick to go all the way to this level here, okay, which is the previous level of support that would most likely cause to be resistance, okay. And so that's 2.5 cents here. If we break above 2.5 cents, or 2.6 cents if you like, there's a very strong chance that we go all the way to 6 cents, and that's 130% up, okay. So you know, don't know about you guys, but for me that's a very, very decent R&R, risk reward, okay. So again, the key level really is to break above this one here, okay. In the meantime, we've seen a slowdown in price, in selling price, right, and we're seeing constructive price action. So we could potentially see a little bit of a markup all the way up to 2.5 cents. So that's basically FODL versus USDC. FODL versus ETH. On the daily here, unsurprisingly, FODL looking weak versus Ethereum, because Ethereum has been looking so strong. So this level has acted as support. This is a big round number here, okay. This level here should act as resistance. So we're in between two levels here, and this here is the range that you should be trading, okay. So we've not seen much of an acceleration in terms of selling. As you can see here, the price was really aggressive in terms of selling. So large selling going on here, a little bit of selling going on here, and a little bit of selling going on here, but it's definitely eased off a little bit, right? So we're starting to see some sideways price action. However, because Ethereum is looking so strong, we're still printing lower highs and lower lows, okay. But this is an important candle that we're seeing here, right? So if I look at this on the 4-hour chart, we've reclaimed this level here, okay. So again, we're looking at this here as resistance, this here as support, okay. And as such, I do expect this to be a range here. Break above this one, that will be the next level of resistance. If we break below that one, we'll have to look at big round numbers for the next levels of support, so such as 90,000 way here, around about something like that. Okay, so we'll just have to wait. If we see some weakness on Ethereum, we could potentially see a rally here on FODL. Okay, at least to the next level of resistance. So that's what I'm seeing here on FODL versus ETH. Now moving on to BNB USD. So this is Binance coin. And again, these are lines that I put in, God, I think it was last week that I did the last technical analysis update here. So let's just have a look. Level of resistance that I put in, tapped to the dollar, right? Previous resistance, still holding as resistance, okay? So again, this is resistance here, around about $336. Most people will go, oh, $300, big round number or whatever. $350, no. We're looking at volume profile, and that's why we get these accurate, we'll get these accurate levels, accurate areas in terms of price action, okay? So now what I want you to notice is that basically we are above the current year's value area low, right? So this, going forward, this is important support, and this, for now, is resistance. But what I want you to notice is that if we come all the way down here, we see that the 2021 VWAP closed there, which is this faint blue line here, right? So even if we bounce here, that would still be, you know, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs again, and we could potentially be bouncing at around about $290, $289, okay? And basically miss this level altogether. So we could bounce there. And also, even if we break above this level of resistance here, there's a very important level of resistance above, which is this yearly VWAP here, which is sitting at $355. So we could come all the way down here and still go lower. Okay, so as you can see, this level here, right? We could potentially go and do this and then still go lower. So just bear that in mind, right? For now, however, we are stuck between these two levels. This is resistance and this is support until proven otherwise. If we get acceptance above the yearly VWAP, the next level of resistance, and this is basically this blue line here, the next range, if you like, would be all the way up here, right? Which is basically, let me just delete all of these brush marks here, which is basically this volume profile here, right? This range. So you can see here, previous range, right? So this is resistance, this is support. We could bounce here as support at around about $290. If we go above, this is a key level of resistance, right? And it's also the edge of this high volume cluster here, which you could argue that's actually a much bigger high volume cluster, which is this whole thing here, right? So break above the yearly VWAP at $350, and the next level of resistance could be either $400 or $450 here. All right, so that's bullish for BNB if we do break above this yearly VWAP. If not, then we could just be ranging here for quite some time, and this is the range that I'm talking about here. Okay, so that's BNB versus USD. On BNB versus ETH, yeah, I'm not gonna chart it versus Bitcoin because again, Ethereum is looking stronger than Bitcoin. So what's the point of charting it on Bitcoin, right? So let me just take these brush marks off again and just leave the levels of resistance and support. Interesting that we didn't actually get to this level of resistance, okay? So this was 1972 way here as resistance. So I'm just going to put that there, right? That's definitely resistance at the moment. And levels of support, I'd be looking at this one here. Okay, this one didn't do anything, so I'm going to delete that. So we'll be looking now at a range forming somewhere between here, these two levels here. Okay, 1550 way, and 1937 way, 1940 way, something like that. Okay, so that's basically what I'm looking at in terms of a range right now. I thought that actually with this tapering volume going on here, that the level of resistance will be a little bit further up, like we saw here, right? But that wasn't to be, that wasn't the case. This got front run here on BNB, and so the level of resistance is this one here. So we're looking at this for a range right now. Okay, this should be a strong level of support here. There's the yearly VWAP. Losing that means extreme weakness, and I think that we would go much lower all the way to here. But I do expect this level here around about 1550 way to be very strong support. Okay. Similarly, if we do break above these levels of resistance, then this will be the next level of resistance going forward. Okay. Moving on to AAVE versus USD. So basically this level here that I highlighted as a level of resistance is working as resistance, and therefore is resistance until proven otherwise. And this level here should be acting as support. In fact, I'll put this as green. I'm not sure why it's yellow. It should be in green because it's already been confirmed here as support. It has perfect confluence as well with the value area low of this yearly VWAP, right? The VWAP here closed here. This is the value area high, right? So we're inside that value now. Okay, but for now this is the range. This is resistance and this is support. Okay, and therefore we've got this going on here. So $76 as resistance, as support, $110 as resistance. If we break above that, then I expect this level to be strong resistance as well at around about $134. Okay, so that's on AAVE versus USD. AAVE versus ETH. Wow, it's a bit of a mess. I do apologize for that. But you can see that I had this range here, right? So I had this holding as support and this holding as resistance. So let's just delete all these brush marks and see if that actually did work. Okay, yearly VWAP. We kind of like went below the yearly VWAP, but I had that green line there as a low volume area, and that did indeed hold as support. And of course I had that red line as the value area high of the yearly VWAP, and also as this low volume node, and again that has been resistance. So therefore this is resistance, this is support, and the range that we should be trading is this one here until proven otherwise. Break below that and I think we could be heading all the way down here to round about, let me just move that up a little bit like that. So this will be the next level of support. If we do move to the upside, I think this here will be the next level of resistance. But for now, we're kind of trading inside of here. Okay, so that's AAVE versus ETH. Moving on to Compound USD. Still very much within the levels that I showed you guys last week. So I'm going to delete that a second. Right, so this level here should hold as support, this level here should hold as resistance. Okay, so we're basically looking at previous level of support confirmed as resistance, now it's confirmed as support, so this should be support now. Okay, and this here should be resistance until proven otherwise. Okay, so we're basically inside of this range here. All right, so $60 as support, $75 as resistance, but at the moment $70, a big round number, is acting as resistance as well. Okay, right about $69, $70. Okay, previous order block here as well on the daily, so pretty obvious, but ultimately the real level of resistance will be around about here, $75. Okay, so on higher time frames you're looking at $60 as support, $75 as resistance. Compound versus ETH. Like I said, this yearly VWAP is a strong level of resistance and therefore it's doing its job here. Okay, next level of support will be the value area low, which is around about here. Okay, so therefore we're trading inside of this range. and that is still the case. Okay, so nothing has changed there. This is resistance, this is support. Therefore, this should be the range on a higher time frame. Break above this level here, and I think the next level of resistance will be around about here and here. So I'm going to put another level there. If we break below this level of support, then I think we're going to have to look at big round numbers here, and 250 way as the next level of support. Okay, so that's basically where we are right now. Resistance, support. Moving on to BAT USD. Interesting. So let's just delete some of these lines here. So this, for a very long time, this here was a very strong resistance level. And we're now broken above it, came here, and it looks like we're bouncing here. So this could now be support. So let me just change this. I'm going to put this as yellow because it's not really confirmed support yet, but this could be supported, right? Especially as I see that the market's already tried the value area low of the current year, and we bounced from there, strong bounce. So this here could be support. So I'm looking at this as support, and this level here as resistance, around about $56. Previous level of support should now act as resistance. So therefore, this should be the range. If we get acceptance above this level here, right, you can see that there's hardly any volume there until this volume cluster. So price could travel very, very quickly up to $56. And if we break above that one, then I'm looking at the yearly VWAP, and that level there around about 70 cents. Sorry, I've been saying dollars, but actually I mean cents, right? So I'll rephrase that. 43 cents holding as support means that we could go to the next level of resistance, will be around about 56 cents. There's hardly any volume there, so the price will travel very quickly up to that. If that level of resistance breaks and we break above that, the next level of resistance will be round about 70 cents. Okay, potentially even 72 cents will be the next level of resistance. Okay, and therefore the range would be something like this, right? But for now, this here is an important level, this here is an important level, and as long as we are inside it, this is the range that we'll be trading, right? 45 cents as support, 56 cents as resistance. That's on BAT versus USD. BAT versus ETH, very much the same scenario. We're holding this level of support here right now, so this is still holding as support. This here will be resistance until proven otherwise, and therefore this is the range that we'll be trading. Break below that, and I think this will be the next level of support. If you break above that next level of resistance, this here will be the next level of resistance. Okay. I hope this kind of makes it clear. Okay, and that's basically where we're trading right now. Support, resistance. Okay. Link versus USD. Again, yet another level that I'd marked that is acting as support, as resistance, sorry. So let me just delete all of these. And here we are. I do expect this now to be a little range here. Okay, I expect this previous level of resistance here to hold as support. If that doesn't hold as support, then this will be the next level. I'm going to change this to green here. And I'm going to change that to a straight line. Okay, there was a little bit of friction going on here. We confirmed it as support and we rallied from there. Okay, so I do expect this to be the next level. That's resistance. This is support until proven otherwise. Break above that, and I'm looking at $10 as the next level of resistance because it's a big round number, but we could potentially going all the way up to the previous level of support all the way down here at around about $11. Okay, but I think that now, I think we range here for a little while. Okay, and we do something like this. I hope that kind of makes it clear for you guys. I'm going to try and make a little better arrow here. There we are. range, and range. This is the next level of support. This here is the next level of resistance. And of course, if Link goes on a crazy rally here, please keep an eye on around about $12. This is ultimately going to be very strong resistance going forward. Okay, but $11 also, because it's previous level of support that is untapped. Okay, so $11, $12 is very strong resistance. $10 is a big round number, will definitely be resistance as well. But currently we're being held down by $9.50, and the level of support that we're looking at is around about $8, $7.80, something like that. Okay, so trading inside of this range here. On Link versus ETH, I don't need to draw anything. This level here is holding as resistance. Okay, yearly VWAP. This is the range that you should be trading in, looking at right about 4,360 way as support, and looking at 5,200 way as resistance. Okay, therefore we're inside this range. Break below it, we go to this level. Break above the level of resistance, and we go to this level here, potentially even that one. I'm going to move that one slightly because things have changed. Okay, so that's Link versus ETH. On Uni versus USD, wow, this is the range that I was expecting. That's exactly where we are. As you can see here, range, right? So I'm just going to delete all that to make this a little bit clearer. But you guys can see that this is not hindsight. This is from all the way from last week, and you guys can go and have a look at last week's technical analysis update. Okay, so this here should be support. This here should be resistance. Okay, so yearly VWAP holding as strong support. Previous level of resistance holding as resistance as such, right? Which is basically this low volume node here, right? $9, yeah, $9.50. Okay, so therefore this is the range that I expect this to be trading in. Break below that one, and I think it's a very long way down, and we could be seeing, in fact, I'm going to adjust this. This here should be the next level of support here. And if we break down from there, I think we could be seeing a range forming here. Break above this one, and we've got plenty of levels of resistance, such as this one here, $10.55. But we've also got $11.60 as a serious level of resistance, as it is the value area high of the 2022 VWAP. Okay, so that's Uni versus USD, and finally Uni versus ETH. So that's one that has failed. Okay, I had a range high here, range low here, and it was in yellow. It wasn't confirmed as support, and of course it failed, and now we're below it. So let's just draw some new lines on that and just see if we can actually make sense of what's happening there. So I find this line now is, just delete that line here. It doesn't make any sense anymore, that line. So what would I be looking for here? Perhaps go on a 3-day chart here, just to see if I can make any sense of this. Okay, yeah. So I'm looking at this volume cluster here as the range, right? So the low volume node is way down here, right? And resistance is way up here. So I'm going to put a level of resistance right on the edge of this high volume cluster, as you can see here, right? So now if we look at the daily chart, that was the range, right? Just going to delete that a second. So this here as resistance, this here is as support. Okay, we do have the value area high of 2022 at the moment. It looks like we've failed it, but we've also deviated below here, and we deviated below here, and we still bounced. So we could potentially see a bounce here, but we'll have to wait and see. Okay, on Uni versus ETH, it does look like it wants to come down further, and so I would expect this here to be the range to trade. Okay, it's a very large range, to be perfectly honest. Alright, so we'll have to wait and see. If we reclaim this level here, just make this bigger again. If we reclaim that line, right, which is basically the value area high of 2022, if we reclaim this somehow, then I think we're heading higher, right? And we'll be going up. If we lose that one, we're heading lower and we're going to this level here. Okay, so ultimately this is the range that we'll be trading in. Well, I hope this makes sense to you guys. So that brings me to the end of all the FODL trading pairs. So I hope this was useful. I hope it keeps you guys on the right side of the trades. I will have another TA update for you guys on Wednesday. I'll try and do it on Wednesday morning to preempt the New York session open. But in the meantime, like I said, I hope this keeps you on the right side of the markets. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys on Wednesday. Take care. Bye-bye.